Hello, everybody, and my name is Fable, and welcome back to Toonkind at 12 FPS. The title of today's episode is Sward Training. I still can't believe you agreed to that name.
You gave me a pun and you expected me not to use it?
I know, but it was me being an idiot at the time, and I didn't think you'd actually take it seriously. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, is completely on me. But
How
anyway,
long have we known each other?
for a couple months now. Fair
Oh,
point. Fair
really?
point. This is on me. This is on me for not thinking at the time. Anyways, welcome to today's Sword training. My name is Fable, and with me today is
Hello, I'm Bam. I shall be playing Umi, Sea Child, local tourist in Ruindal, the bane of Antler's assistance.
no. Surprisingly, not Umi. You are not the bane of Antler's existence. One Toon has already taken that slot, but he's not been around. Thank God in Antler's mind. I don't. For those who don't know who I am talking about, I'm talking about Colin, the little detective crow tune, who is love the I Fable love that bird, but Antler hates him with a fiery passion. But anyways,
Antler looking at Umi, no one can be as bad as Colin.
yeah, no one. Sorry, I'm sorry, Umi. Not even you can hit that. Not even you can earn that title. Anyways, so this is taking place. So this takes place obviously after the events of Home Alone and after the events of I believe it was called Treasure Hunt.
Treasure hunt, yeah.
Yeah, which was an FPS between Umi and Ruby. They went to go underwater sea diving. They found an old ship, found some cool stuff. Antler
Found a
got a
shark.
Antler got a bit miffed at Ruby because hey, I'm supposed to, you are my responsibility, and I actually do need to know where you are. Uh, got a little miffed, but was pacified with the fact that they brought back gold and treasure and money, things that need to upkeep the new place, the new castle. But that is not all the children have found. Vamp, what has what has Umi found?
Well, Umi and Ruby kind of had an arrangement when they explored the ship. Ruby got to take all the jewelry and all the gold, but Umi got to take all the magical items. So, they got a decanter of eternal water, they got a candle of the deep, and they got a moon touched sword. Scimitar, or mechanically is scimitar? How do you pronounce that?
Scimitar?
Yeah, mechanically a scimitar, but appearance wise, it's a cutlass because this is Toonkind D&D, and I say so.
I do not actually have a great knowledge of swords, but my understanding is that cutlasses and scimitars can look similar to each other. I had to Google, and most of the images I got were very similar looking swords. I'm most likely very wrong about this. So
Watch you post this. Like I watch you like watch this get posted on YouTube, and like people who actually understand swords come for your truth in the comments.
no, if there's any listeners who actually know things about swords, by all means, like I would love to actually hear knowledgeable facts about swords. That would actually because I do in fact like swords. They are neat.
But yeah, for the purposes, I have no idea if scimitars and cutlasses are actually different swords, or this is another case of English striking again. But we'll just say mechanically it's a scimitar, appearance wise it's a cutlass.
It's a sword. It's a sword.
It's a
Now,
sword.
hold on. Before I get to that, I this is on my mind as soon as I heard it. Did you say that Umi had a decanter
Yep,
for water?
yep,
The child who lives in the ocean
yep,
needs a decanter for water?
yep. Here, let me send.
I'm
They don't actually know what it does yet because this decanter only works if you speak the command word.
Oh, okay.
So as far as they know, it's just an unlock. Like it's just like a locked flask with something sloshing inside.
Okay. This is not important. This is not important to the FPS. This is more important to Fable because I just want to know about it. because I just found it very funny that a child who lives in water needs a needs a container for water. Anyways,
Hey, Maple. Hey, maybe who knows? Maybe they'll need it when they're out of water sometime. They
that's
don't have any spell slots left.
and you know what? That's actually fair. That's actually fair. Anyways,
And that's frighteningly likely given that they're a warlock.
you know what? That's true. They're also a warlock. I feel sorry for warlocks. Looks at Antler. Anyways, so let's let's get on. We're taking a bit more time with this than to start this than we've been to. So anyways, it is a. Let's say it's about midday. Midday in Ruindal. Antler's in the process. He actually has someone with him today. Another one of the. He's taking advantage of that treasure chest you brought him, and is actually paying someone to to assess the damage of his throne and see what can be done about it.
Mike, can I hazard a guess and say not much?
No, yeah, the current the current assessment that's being had is that well, I'm sorry, sir. I mean, it's very melted. But with a bit of work, I can very easily take this out and flatten it. So at the very least, you'll have some new flooring right here. Right, you are. I can't tell what you're thinking. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the paperwork for this if you're all right with that, and I will. Yeah, and and Antler is just kind of glowering down at his melted throne while this poor business person who's just here to do work. He's just being paid to do this. Is gonna go leave and get paperwork real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Antler is at the moment.
And I guess roll perception.
It's gonna take a second to take a sip of water, but hold on. Where's my perception? There's my perception. 15.
Alright, with a 15, you hear from the underground river, which is usually surprisingly quiet, because despite her troubles and been popping up lately, Umi usually doesn't really make any noise. You hear swishing noises? It kind of sounds like metal going through the air.
Antler takes a breath he doesn't need because he's undead, but whatever. He's attuned. It's for effect. Before he slowly turns his head into the direction of the noise.
And he sees Umi holding a very like nice looking cutlass. It's glowing faintly in the dark, and they're swishing it around. And Antler, I'm not even going to make you roll for this. You take one look and you immediately twig on that Umi has no idea what they're doing.
I mean, I don't think Antler would. I think it'd be pretty obvious. But question is Umi by the door to the underground river, or?
I'd say probably, yeah. Just for fun. Just for fun.
Yeah, I'm just imagining that Umi's like by the river, and Antler can just see them through the open doorway.
Yep.
Antler looks at this for a few moments. He watches, and I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You said Antler watches this for a few moments, and then you trailed off.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, my dad walked in to check something, and it completely threw me off. Yeah, he watches this for a few moments, and before he's not gonna try and sneak or anything. I think he just walks quietly, as that's just what he does. He does that villain sneaky thing, but not intentionally. It just happens.
I'm gonna roll perception
Yeah, go
anyway.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. He's not gonna be trying, so I'm not gonna contest it. But
That's a
that's
23.
a
Yeah,
23. Jesus.
yeah, Umi. Look at the modifier, Fable.
Yeah, that's a +7 modifier. Jeez.
Umi definitely like notices Antler coming, and they you know they might be like a weird kid, but also like Umi knows very well that most people sword plus person equals dead. So they do like stop swishing their sword when you, I assume, step through the door.
Yeah, Antler stays out of the. I believe. I believe your sword has like a 5 foot range.
Yee, give or take.
Yeah, he's exactly within the 6 foot range within of Umi, just out of sword's reach because he does not trust this child with. He doesn't trust children with swords in general. Uh, uh,
And Umi like looks at the fact that Antler's not coming close enough for like, sword reach, and then just starts swishing the sword around again. Again, having no idea what they're doing.
what are you doing?
They give Antler a look that kinda reads like, is it not obvious?
And Antler gives a look and gives a look back that, oh no, yeah, it's obvious, but you're still going to explain yourself.
Umi just kinda shrugs and signs. Sword.
Wait, sorry, did you say sword or board? I misheard
No,
that.
sword.
Sword. Antler. Clearly, it's a sword. Why do you have it?
They point at like the direction of the river, and they sign, found it while treasure hunting.
Hmm. And do you even know how to use it?
They shake their head. Nope, they have no idea how to use it.
And Antler very, not slowly, he crosses his arms and, it gives a flat look. It gives a flat look of just, of course.
And
So let's see if I understand this. You found a sword that you have no knowledge of using, and are going to do what with it exactly?
they ponder on this for a moment, and then sign, learn to use it.
And how is that going for you?
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna like. I'm gonna. Well, they're not gonna be attacking anything, but I'm just gonna roll to see how well they do with switching the sword again. Oh, that's an 8.
It's an 8. Not
They,
good.
yeah. I feel like they switched the sword again, and the grip wasn't strong enough or something, and the sword goes flying.
And Antler. In which direction does it go flying?
You know what? Let's see. Like, I'll roll a T2. If it's 1, then it goes flying away from Antler. If it's 2, it
Two
goes
goes
flying towards
goes
Antler.
towards Antler. Oh boy. It's a
Oh, it's
2.
a 2.
Okay, I just need to make a dex save real quick. Hold on. My dex, which is not good, is just gonna be straight d20. 11.
I think that works. I think that works. They rolled an 8. I don't think that hits.
Yeah, it's an 11. It's an 11. Antler, actually actually just, moves to the side, and the sword, and you just see the sword just fly past him back into the throne room, and he watches after the sword for a moment, going, before he will walk into the throne room where the sword has landed and go to pick it up.
Umi's just staring after the sword, and when Antler, when she picked it up and turned back, you see like Umi has like walked forward and is kind of like standing in front of the door to the underground river.
Umi, you watch for a bit as Antler actually holds the sword for a bit. This is not a sword that's really been made for. I mean, name a sword that's been named for a child. I'm sure someone could name one, but for the sake of this argument, I'm gonna say most swords are not made for children size. The his hand actually fits the grip of the sword much more than Umi's, because I believe.
Umi, yeah, Umi gives like a through their nose.
Yeah, because scimitars and cutlass, one thing I do know is that they are mainly one-handed swords. But Umi, chances are that this sword is big enough that you can two-hand it, because child.
How? That's probably like why it flew out of their grip in the first place. They were one-handing it, and the handle.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and say with advantage because. Oh my god! What? Okay,
Guys,
it's
9 and 8.
you,
10,
Ubi.
9 and 8.
You watch as Antler moves the sword and sways it. He actually weighs it in his hand, his hand a bit, becoming familiar with the weight. Unfortunately, the sword is when it's wet, and swords are not light, are not the lightest of weapons, and unfortunately, it does not. It's not long before it slips out of his hands. But for the few moments that he had held it, it looked like he actually knew what he was doing until it slipped out of his hand.
Umi had looked like kind of like admiring. Like again, expression doesn't change, but kind of looked admiring up until it slipped out of his hand, and then they were just judging.
Antler, just do not give me that look. Do you?
They are giving you that look.
And Antler just looks unimpressed, and actually, I'm gonna. No, wait, wrong. D10. There we go. 4. Antler reaches into his robes and pulls out his staff, and holds that in one hand while he once more leans down to pick up the sword. Weighs it in his hand a little bit before looking at Umi and goes, "I can't have you swishing this about like an idiot. Otherwise, I'll be having children slicing up any of my guests." So, and he holds out the sword towards Umi, and goes, "Do you actually wish to learn how to use this, or shall I confiscate this from you?"
All right. When you held out the sword to Umi actually looked a bit surprised because they were honestly expecting Antler to confiscate their sword, which rude. It's not theirs. But when Antler uh, then like Antler went, or I'll confiscate it, and then they're just like, ah yeah, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like stride forward, and they grab the sword and nod.
Right before Umi actually grabs the sword, Antler actually pulls it back before you grab it. "Before we begin, we will start with your footing."
I'm gonna roll something really quick. And at disadvantage because they're not in the water right now. Wait, when you pull back the sword, Umi actually falls over.
Antler actually raises a brow at that, and "Yes, I think footing will be the best to start with. Come, on your feet."
They push themselves to their feet and dust themselves down. They don't look embarrassed, honestly.
Now then, you tell me, What do you know of sword fighting?
They think on it a bit and they reach into the pockets of their shirt. That's a fumble. How I fumbled with Umi like
Fumble!
3 separate times, and I've played them in like 5 games. 3 separate fumbles. Played them in 5
Umi just
games.
has too many things in their pockets.
Yeah, honestly, this is a child that tracks. Let's roll.
This tracks a lot, actually. Me being a child who stuffed many a thing in their pockets and couldn't get and couldn't find shit.
All right. Umi reaches into their pocket, and they pull out a nautilus shell. It's actually very pretty and quite honestly like well preserved. But they like their nose crinkles a bit, and they put it back in their pockets. And I'm gonna roll again. That's another fumble.
Fumble.
That's an 8. They pull out a shark tooth. Like Antler, you can definitely see it's a shark tooth. Like it's bigger than Umi's hand, and it's serrated.
You're
And
going somewhere with this.
Umi nods their head and puts it back in. And okay, 9. They pull out. It's not a sword. It's a dagger. The weapon they're actually proficient in.
Ah, I see. Very well, let me see how you use that.
And Umi kind of like looks at Antler and like kind of like, what should I hit?
I'm gonna go ahead and say roll your hit dice. Not to actually hit anything, but
Oh come on!
that's a 10.
I mean that's
I mean,
pretty.
you're aiming at. He's not asking you to aim at anything. He's asking you to show you what if you know how to use it. And I'm just gonna say since a 10 is average, so you are able to show to show him how you would normally use it. That said, he is not actually looking at the thing he's looking at when you are doing this. He's not looking at the dagger itself. He's looking directly at Umi, specifically their feet.
Yeah, and I do not know enough about sword fighting to add flavor to this.
I'm gonna say with a 10, I'm gonna say handling a dagger and handling a sword are both different. I've actually taken a bit of fencing classes once upon a time, so so while I'm not familiar with the stance of holding a cutlass, I am aware that footwork is very important. So so Antler is looking at Umi's footwork, and he actually uses his staff to to actually nudge Umi's feet into proper place. Umi, do you let him do this?
Yes, Umi does let them do this.
The key to a proper stance is balance. If you lose your footing, that is an easy way for your opponent to slash you back. Understood?
They nod, and they do make an effort to like shift their footing according to like how Antler's like saying they should.
And God, I have to go back to my knowledge of sword fighting. God, I haven't fenced in ages. Shit.
I would say that considering the difference in weight between a dagger and a sword and like the difference in fighting styles, like Umi's probably more used to, like lighter weapons, and also like their footwear with their footing is probably like it's fine when you're with a dagger and you can like you can afford like less balance, but with a sword you really gotta like keep your footing, keep your eyes on your opponent.
Yeah, and actually, I'm gonna say, and seeing this a moment, he goes, "All right, put your dagger away," and he now holds out the sword.
Umi puts the dagger away, and reaches out to the sword, but kind of suspiciously, like they don't trust Antler not to yank it out of their reach again.
Antler, being aware of this, actually moves his hand forward with the sword, like, yes, take it.
Umi takes it.
Roll strength.
Okay. Wow, Fable, you're bullying my boy. You're bullying my lovely child.
This is sword training. It's a different weight. That's a 7. Umi, the sword is. You're grabbing it with one hand, so you need two hands to. You manage to catch it with your second hand before it drops too much, but it's very clear that you holding this is a sword meant for an adult, and this is difficult for you to hold in just one hand. And Antler goes, and Antler relays this. I'm saying this as Fable, but Antler is relaying this information about, you are small for this sword, so we'll have to adjust your form to, so that way your size and the size of this sword work. This sword is not made for you.
Umi takes a bit, but Umi puts both hands on the handle and manages to lift it up properly.
Good. Now then, strike at me.
Umi looks at Antler and Umi looks at Antler and Umi's like, really?
One moment. What is that? Jeez, what is up with Dice Roller today?
Dice Parser really went, no.
Umi, you feel, you suddenly feel a whoosh, by the side of your face as Antler has just very nearly hit you with his staff, and he goes, strike at me.
Alright then, let's go. Okay, I'm still gonna be using the attack rule for the scimitar, right?
Mm-hmm. But it is at disadvantage because you are not proficient at this weapon.
And the disadvantage, Fable, please, that's a nat 20.
You are not proficient at this with this weapon yet. This is what this FPS is for. So we are going with the 9 roll. And Umi, you try and slash at Antler with the sword, but he brings his staff around, and you hear, and the contact, the clang, echoes in the throne room, and he goes, again.
God damn it! I'm looking at that 20. Oh, that's an 18.
It's an 18, but still at disadvantage.
Oh yeah, shit. Hold on. 15. That's still
15. That just meets it. So after that one hit, you manage to move forward, and taking advantage of the fact that you are small, you manage to weave past the staff and actually do you hit Antler with the sharp end of the blade, or how do you hit him?
I'm gonna roll wisdom first. It shouldn't be a problem considering their wisdom. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. They do weave under Antler's staff, but at the last second, they hit him with the blunt end of the blade instead of the sharp end.
Better. Again. And I'm also going to roll 11. Does that hit?
No.
I do not know what is up with my rolls.
I mean, I'm also getting bullied by Dice Parser. Look.
Yeah, we're both.
I don't even have to roll that at disadvantage. That's not gonna hit.
We're both. I'm gonna say Umi has brought as these two of both are moving around. Umi has tracked some water in. So Antler was bringing his staff up to hit, but then his foot caught on a patch of water, and he has slipped, and he has to use his staff instead to catch himself from falling. Umi, you moved in to hit to take advantage, but you also on land, not your usual terrain. You also trip a little, and have to catch yourself.
Yeah.
And
Who's the one doing the teaching here?
and jeez, instead, Antler looks at the ground and goes, we need to have, we after this we are going to have a talk about you tracking water in here.
Umi kind of blinks at them. Because honestly, not even Umi knows how they'd stop tracking water everywhere. You can give them shoes, it will still soak through the shoes. And they hate shoes, so they wouldn't wear them anyway.
He'll think of something. He'll think of something. Anyway.
And actually, Umi does sign, wouldn't it be good if I'm fighting someone and they kept slipping?
Not if it means you end up slipping as well. And he gestures to the fact that you just slipped as well.
And Umi actually shakes their head and goes, not because of the water.
And why? Why did you slip then?
Not as good at they kind of wonder how to word it and goes, not as graceful on that.
Antler looks at Umi, he squints, and goes, that is not going to make your learning of sword fighting any easier, you realize that.
They shrug, they don't, Antler, you kind of get the impression that they don't mind having to, practice it or, work hard at it. Yeah, sure, it's gonna be hard. A lot of things are hard.
Antler straightens up, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is the point where montage training mode happens. Because otherwise we're gonna be rolling terribly. Because I don't know why Dice Parser is being a butt.
Hold on, for fun, I'm gonna roll one more. Just for fun, to see if Dice Parser is still a butt. Yep, Dice Parser is a butt.
Yeah, Dice Parser's not being very good to us today. We're getting nothing but low rolls. But that said, since this is montage mode, Umi, I'm gonna have you make... I'm going to have you make a intelligence check followed by a athletics.
Oh boy, Fable, you somehow chose some of their lowest stats.
I know, but you are both learning and you are training your body, so.
Oh my god, that's a dirty 20.
That's a dirty 20. All right. Go ahead and roll athletics for me.
Yeah, I don't think athletics is gonna be very good though. Although at least I don't have disadvantage because it's strength. Oh my god, that's a 16 with a -2.
16. Time goes by, and Umi, you were definitely a bit shaky on your feet at first, and Antler is definitely not giving you. Antler, you realize is a bit of a crude, but I can't argue with the results of a 20 and a 16, as even though he is not being merciful for each misstep you have, you get a decent bonk on the head or the side with his staff. But with each hit you take, you learn each more. You manage to figure out your footing, the best grip to hold the sword at, and you've actually managed to give a good whaps to Antler at this point. And I'm gonna ask you to at this point roll to hit one more time.
Still with the Smithar attack roll?
Yeah.
17.
17. that hits. And actually, Umi, you were starting to take the upper hand a little bit because Antler's not a very dex savvy skeleton. So he's old. He's old. Okay, he's old. So he's actually starting to back up a little bit as you are coming towards him. Enough so, and with the 17, I'd say that you actually managed to knock his staff out of his hands. And as you go for one more hit, suddenly, whoosh, there's suddenly a flash of light as your sword comes into contact with another.
Umi blinks and actually like takes a step back for a second because what?
Antler also blinks and also looks a bit surprised as now he is holding not his staff, but Umi, you see a glowing sword. You see a glowing long sword emanating a golden light.
Umi kind of tilts their head and like squints at it.
Antler stares at the sword a few moments before going, ugh, and he drops the sword immediately, and it clangs to the ground, still glowing.
Umi kind of crouches down and starts poking this golden longsword with their own moon touch sword.
There are a couple sparks at the contact of the blade, but otherwise the sword itself, at the moment just looks like a glowing sword.
They seem to like they take another look at the sword and then like they look at Antler. They look at where the staff has gone flying. And they sign.
Roll insight.
Ooh, okay. Worst part of playing a character that's not Cell is I keep going, oh, I can use a luck point, and then remembering, oh wait, no, I can't actually.
That's a 23.
23.
That's a 23 though. Umi, you see Antler staring down at this sword. His eye sockets are wide. And you see two things. Actually, three. The first expression you recognize is recognition on his face. Recognition, anger, and fear as he is staring down at the sword.
Umi notes this all with like and tilts their head and actually signs, why are you scared?
Give me 1 second. 13, okay. Antler looks finally manages to tear his gaze from the sword and looks at Umi, blinks, and goes, "What? No, I am not." And he shakes his head, and all those emotions that you'd seen just a moment ago are quickly buried away as he turns and goes to pick up his staff.
Is the sword still laying there?
Yeah, the sword is still there.
I'm gonna. Umi does walk over and, they. I'm gonna roll a d2 to see what they do. Okay, it's a 2. They go to pick up the sword.
Umi, you it's roll strength. This sword's bigger than your cutlass. That's a 4. Umi, you're finding this sword's actually pretty heavy, and you managed to. It's gonna take more than one hand to pick it up, and even with 2 hands, you are having. It's taking you a bit of an effort to do that. And as the Antler turns around to see you do this, he immediately snaps and goes, "Do not touch it."
Umi blinks at him and, can Umi roll another insight?
Sure.
Alright, let's go. 9.
Now he just looks angry now, and a bit annoyed.
Yeah. They drop the sword.
And
Sword and it clatters with a clang, I assume.
yeah, it lands with a clang, and Antler. And actually, I'm gonna make another roll to see what he does.
Oh my god, if it's a wisdom save, it is a wisdom save.
It's a 7. It's a 7. Antler walks over and he actually uses the butt of his staff to he throws this he uses the staff to basically slide the sword away from Umi, away basically into the wall, and then looks sharply at Umi and goes, "That is enough sword training for today." And with a flurry of his cape, he starts walking towards his room.
I'm sorry, but when you said flurry of escape, all I'm imagining is the
A flourish.
one tuxedo meme.
A flourish. A flourish. I don't listen.
I know, I'm just bullying you. Umi like watches them go, and they look over to the wall. And is the sword still there?
It is, but then you slowly start to watch as light starts to emanate from it, and it's slowly, you know, and in a puff of light is gone.
Umi blinks and kind of tilts their head a bit, looks at Antler, and wonders at the fear they saw in Antler's face, the fear and anger they saw in Antler's face at what is presumably his own magic sword. Looks at where the magic sword was, and kind of makes the decision that that's a lot to unpack. And they just head back to their underground river.
Just like that.
Just like that.
All right. Yeah, and Antler goes to his room and shuts it with a resounding bang that echoes through RUINDALL. And Umi, you return to the river, maybe with a couple more questions than you'd originally started with, but at least now you can hold your footing a bit better. You'll still need to practice with the sword and get the arm strength to be able to hold it up in an actual fight, but you are on your way to becoming proficient with your sword.
Yeah. And all in all, Umi thinks it was a good day. They got to learn how to use their sword better. Weird drama about magic sword notwithstanding.
Yeah. It's a drama. It's fine. Don't worry. Antler's just being.
You're gonna say that to the kid who rolled a 23 in inside.
Antler's just being a butt. Don't worry about it.
Sure. And
we don't have time to unpack all of that. Anyways.
Actually, I'm gonna roll something real quick, and I pray.
What are you rolling?
I'm gonna be praying. Please roll a 2. Please roll a 2. God damn it! Never mind.
What was the 2 gonna be?
If that was a 2, they would actually show some pecking compassion for once, but no.
Oh, which reminds me. Umi, roll perception.
Okay, sure. 13.
13. Umi, you you spend some time in the you splash into the river for a bit, and it's a few seconds underneath the water. You suddenly hear you see a shadow flicker above you from above. But when you turn around, nothing is there. But you think you see something that's been left on the edge of the water.
They swim over to investigate.
Umi, what you see is a piece of paper with writing on it.
Oh boy, I almost said they read it, but then I remembered, Umi country?
Yeah, it is written in common. But you see there is a very not very good scrawl drawing of a seashell. So you could infer that it could be for you.
Umi considers this, and I'm gonna roll hammer space again. Please don't fumble. 4. Okay. They take out their spellcasting focus and they summon their familiar.
All right.
They summon their familiar who can actually read.
Oh, oh, good. That's actually good.
Yeah, and familiar is just, let's see here, because they summoned her as a sea snake.
On the piece of paper, you can the familiar reads, the ocean is many, many things, cold and warm, tame and wild, but the one thing it is not is a child, and that's all it says.
Umi blinks. And can Umi roll insight on this note?
Sure.
13.
With a 13, it's not a very good rhyme, but you get the impression that someone is trying to tell you something, maybe impart wisdom about either about you, your connection to the ocean. You're not quite sure, but it is meant for you, and it's something to think on.
Umi kind of goes a bit quiet at that and tilt their head. Then they put the note in their hammer space and they sink back underwater. And I'm gonna roll something. Yes. Having a high wisdom character, actually pretty damn good. 20. Okay. Antler, when do you think you next leave your room?
It's probably a while. It's probably not until nighttime that he reemerges. He looks around the throne room for a bit before
Why don't you roll perception?
Perception. Oh, okay. 16.
All right. You know that area, you know the melted throne. Well, there's something on the melted throne, and as you get closer, you kind of see that it's jewelry.
Antler blinks. Antler.
It's a handful of gold jewelry.
Yeah. How much water is? Are they soaked?
I'm gonna see how they stealth it. Cause and I'm gonna roll disadvantage because again, on land, kind of hard when you're dripping water everywhere.
9. Yeah. There's what? Yeah. Antler looks at the jewels, and then his eyes slowly follow the trail of water droplets that go from the melted throne to the underground river entrance. And he hums and he shakes his head. He casts and he. Actually, I'm gonna roll for this one. Sorry, folks, we're making a lot of rolls to base our decisions on stuff. I'm gonna make it be.
Yeah, we're playing with two characters who are really
25. Okay, Antler takes a breath, swallows his pride. He's holding his staff at the moment, so he waves his staff a little bit, and crackling green energy emits from his staff, and he has just cast Prestidigitation on the jewels to get rid of the water before he picks them up and puts them in his hammer space.
Oh yeah. I will admit, I did not expect Antler to accept it.
I mean, I rolled to see if he'd be able to swallow his pride, and that's a 25. That's a nat 20. So I'm gonna say he managed.
I know. Fucking rolled a nat 20 in wisdom.
Yeah, but with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say, just at the 50-minute mark too. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's probably a good place to end it.
Yay! Thank you all for listening. We hope you have fun watching us roll so badly on
Yeah, we rolled
panels.
we rolled really badly, but Umi, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna say you're not proficient at it yet, but I'm gonna say with by your next game, if you choose to keep using the sword, you'll be proficient with it by then.
All right.
Because you got to train.
Hell yeah.
So, anyways, thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you next time. Bye
See
bye.
you.